Hello, welcome to Have Roots Will Travel. My name is Lisa Elvin Staltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. In this past year, we've been exploring travel backwards in time. We've been looking at Les Filles du Roi, exploring each and every one of them and their contribution to North America. What started off as a personal project has mushroomed into now. I greet you with episode 123. If you're interested in knowing the episodes we've done before, have a look at my website, haverootswilltravel.com. I've got links to all of them so that you can see which ones you've missed that pertain to you. And if there are some that you're interested in, please feel free to email me or at lisa@haveroots.com. Or you can also just jot down something on the bottom of this screen, and go into the comments, and I read everything. So, and I get notifications. So, speaking of notifications, make sure if this is something you like, subscribe and click on that notifications alert. Would love for you to join this group that we're forming. So, with that, let's get started and get to know our fille du roi of this episode. Her name is Francoise Durand, and she is a viewer request. I looked in my files, and one of my oldest friends from high school, actually, and she knows who she is. She was my best friend in high school, and so this is also her great grandmother. So let's get to know Francoise a little bit better. So Francoise was born in 1651 in the commune of Bracquemont, which is no longer there because they merged into a place called Petit Caux. So if you're looking for it, that's what it's now called. But originally, it was called Bracquemont. And it is part of the Normandy region of France. You can see it on the upper left. And inside of Normandy, the département, or county where she was born, is the county or the département of Seine-Maritime. I pictured on the left bottom screen. This is Bracquemont, and how close it is to the sea. It's just amazing. And the church Notre Dame, where she would have been baptized, dates from the mid-centuries, and it still exists today. So just amazing, amazing. Her parents' names were Pierre Durand and Noël Assenet. So how did she come to New France? So after the death of both of her parents, she decided that she would follow in the path of her uncles. Her two uncles, their names were Jacques and David Asselet, so they were on her mother's side, and they had already emigrated to New France. She embarked on La Nouvelle France as a fille du roi. July 31st, 1670 is when she arrived in Quebec. She selected, and who selected her? His name was Jacques Boudouin, and he was born in 1645 in a kind of a tropical paradise, if you will, in Saint-Martin-de-Ré. And it is an island off the Atlantic coast of France near La Rochelle, in the Charente-Maritime region, is part of that. The island became English in 1154 when Eleanor of Aquitaine became Queen of England through her marriage with Henry Plantagenet. The island reverted back 100 years later to 1243 when Henry III of England returned it. It's like they gave these islands away. Returned it to Louis IX through a treaty. In 1316, however, with the Treaty of Brittany, it briefly became English again until the 1370s. So it really has this really rich kind of multicultural history. So it would be interesting to know the French and the English and how they merge. So you can see it has some, I wanted to show you the map. And then absolutely same. So it's an island, and it's kind of like Ile d'Orléans in a way because it has all these different little towns. But he comes from Saint-Martin, which was, because of its location, very much an area where they built garrisons and things like that. And that's in the middle screen is kind of one of those outposts. And then I wanted to show you the bridge, how to get off the island. And then, of course, there's Seaport, just to give you, it's really a paradise. And until I did the research for this, I had no idea that there was an island off of France that was part of France. So his parents' names were Solon, Boudouin, and Anne Gaudreau. So let's see his travel to New France. So Jacques would come to New France and was confirmed May 24th, 1664. You can see him on the census with Paul Chalifou. He is at the very bottom there as a domestique engagé. So he would have, by 1667 or 68, he would be essentially freed from his contract and would have been able to buy land and marry. So let us have a look at how and when they met. We don't have a marriage record or anything like that, but we do know there was a contract drawn up on March 24th, 1671. We don't know where it occurred. And it is kind of neat that she arrived in in the summer of 1670, and we don't have that marriage contract until 1671. So that's kind of unusual. So wouldn't you love to find out what happened? So they settle at Ile d'Orléans, where so many French Canadians have their origins. You see there the island of Orleans on the upper left. It is very close to Quebec City, about 3 miles. On the bottom, you see how it is divided into different townships: Saint-Denis, Saint-François, Saint-Jean, Saint-Laurent, Saint-Pierre, and Saint-Pétronine, which is on the other tip. And these other two pictures I have are just, the bottom, just what it looks like today. We have a cheese making, a fromagerie, as we call it in French, that you can visit. And everything is kind of like somewhere in time, It is a village who really focuses on its history. And this is just one of those. On the bottom right is just one of those pictures, picture perfect, green, the mountains, the sea, the dirt roads, everything is as it would have been. And we have also, I clipped the 1681 census, which is Jacques Boudouin, 37, Francoise Durand. I find it interesting that her age is not noted, so that's just an interesting, I don't know why, but Jacques is 10 years old, Joseph is 8, Francoise is 5, Louis is 3. They have 4 bêtes à cornes, which is 4 goats, and they have 7 arpents à valeur, about 5 acres. So that's not too bad. Let's see the family they created. So in all, they would have 9 children. Jacques married Catherine Morin and had 5 children, all of whom survived. Joseph would die at 25, unmarried. Françoise would marry Pierre Blain and have 11 children, 9 of whom survived. Pierre's mother was actually Anne Perrault, a fille du roi, who we featured in episode 8. Louis married Angélique Roy and had 8 children, 6 of whom survived. Marc married Elisabeth Lepage and had 5 children, 4 of whom survived. And for the other children, Pierre, François, Antoine, and Marie, we do not have any information, unfortunately. Again, something that DNA may help us explore. The middle to end of their lives, they would move to Saint-François, which is a beautiful place on Ile d'Orléans. It's at the tip of the island. Not sure why they would have done that, but certainly it's another indication that life, as people move now and they move then, possibly for greater land. Maybe they sold their land and just the community that was there. So we do not know. We just know that is where they ended their lives, at Saint-François. So Jacques would pass away at the age of 63 on the 2nd of June, 1708. He and Françoise would have been married 37 years at his passing. Françoise Durand would live on another 10 years, dying at the age of 67. She died on the 15th of September, 1718. They are both buried at the church in Saint-François on the island of Ile d'Orléans. As of 1729, they would have 54 descendants. So as a final tribute, of course, they are on that monument. We have Jacques Boudouin, Merlier à Françoise Durand. The only thing that's different this time is that I see that they've got the town a little different than I have. All the research I did indicates that he was born in that area. So in the area that I said, which is Saint-Martin, Ile-de-Ré, So I'm not sure about this particular thing. If anybody has any other information, please let me know. But certainly they are, no matter what, they are among the pioneers of Île d'Orléans. Here are some of the highlighted resources I used: La Société des Filles du Roi, the Quebec Genealogical E-Society, Nos Origines, Généalogie Québec, Migration, and Facebook. All of those, I have the addresses. Have a look at them. They're all marvelous. I use them almost daily, all of them. And so we end episode 123. Francoise Durand and her husband Jacques Boudouin, who were among the pioneers of Île d'Orléans. We thank them for their longevity, for their contribution, and for the descendants they left behind. We honor their memory and we bless their sacrifice. Thank you so much, Francoise. Until I see you on episode 124, au revoir.